can see this only in Quebec, Canada. So we have a very old international truck, and at first I had no idea what these guys were doing. I thought they were about to transfer boxes from the dry van onto this guy, because right behind him there's a dry van, multi-axle guy, and this guy was telling him to back, and the first guy was backing and he just hit this guy, you know. And I thought, do you hear that sound? That's him hitting. And at first I thought that the other guy was just parking, and then this guy from the white truck runs back in there and gives some instruction to the other guy, and basically, you see that guy? All right, and we have ignition. Beautiful. You see, that guy was a 3-axle guy. Only in America. You see, and now the happy guy is heading home to have his beer. You know, this guy is a hero of the day. La Jardine du Saginaw. I guess they probably both go to the same bar or something, right? I hope that guy does not die at the top of the hill. No, we're doing good. Alright. So, basically, little known fact. Okay, where I'm looking? I think I'm looking somewhere here, right? Hold on, let me double check. Where's my finger? Okay, sorry about that. I had to do some weird experimental stuff, and so I'm still sitting over here. This is La Top. I don't know how to say it, but basically it's like a top, you know, like a stage. It's a very nice rest area on Highway 173. So Quebec City. I now decided to pronounce the names the way they pronounce them over here. So it's not Quebec like I used to say, it's Quebec. And so Quebec City, there's a sign there. Like, it's pretty far, so the camera will not pick it up, but there's a sign, white letters on green background. So it's Quebec City is 100 kilometers this way, 62.15 miles. And Saginaw or something is this way, and that's where I'm going. It's 110 kilometers or 68 miles. And it's 175, it's all up to here, and I think a while further north it's still a divided freeway. And check this out, these guys even have the electric fuel station. You see this little circuit d'électrique, like in the center of the frame? And it looks like a fuel pump, except it's all electric, so that's for electric cars. And I see this in more and more Canadian cities and villages. And over there in the distance, again in the middle of the frame, there's a little post that says, like red on white, that's like picture of chicken, and that's what inside is like 24 hours available. And so it's a very nice rest area, a bit dirty. There's like a stream over there. I stopped here last time, and there's a big lake that way over there. There's an old church. It's like so beautiful, but and I am just, I don't know, 2 hours. What 2 hours? 100 kilometers, 62 miles from Quebec City, right from the big highway, like what was it, Autoroute 20. But we're very far north now, because if you look on the map, you know that major Ontario highway, which is 401, which starts at Windsor or Ambassador Bridge at near Detroit, Michigan, right? And that highway 401 goes all across. It's a divided 4-lane freeway most of the time. It goes all the way across Ontario to the border with Quebec, right? And if you look at the map, if you don't like it's hard to understand why it's always so cold in here. But if you look in even like Google Maps, you will see that the point at the Ambassador Bridge is much more to the south than the end of 401 at the Quebec border, you know. And that's what happens. This road goes like this. Well, if you're looking, like if this is Ambassador Bridge, that 401 goes like this, you know, towards northeast, and then it continues over here. It's even more abrupt to the north when it becomes Autoroute 20 in Quebec. And then once I reach Quebec City, still going like this, right, from your bottom left corner to top right, rising towards the north. And then in Quebec City, I leave that gentle rise and I jump on 73 or 173, and it's all divided freeway, and that one goes straight north, you know. And that's where I am now, and it's like just 1 hour of a major city, and there's all, you know, forests and mountains, and it was so interesting to watch, you know, all these tourists. You know, you can see people are from big city, probably Montreal or Quebec City, and they probably have cottages somewhere there. But right next to us, pretty much on the other side of this is some kind of probably a road maintenance outfit over here with the old Volvo grader. I hold those. But on the other side of these trees, and that creek goes that way, there's a little funny bridge, and it says 30 tons maximum, and it's all wood. And I went there trying to find some themes for my photography, and when a pickup truck goes on that bridge, and I was standing in the middle of that little bridge, the whole bridge shakes. I don't know how they figure out that rating 30 tons because there's a sign there. It says straight trucks this much weight, semi trucks with a trailer up to 30 tons. I think if I went there with my thing over here, the one that you see in the mirror, that little bridge would just fall down. But anyway, there's a big lake in there, and I didn't see, and I went down the side of the freeway, just walked maybe, I don't know, like 5 minutes, and you can see the lake. You know, I didn't go into this cottage area that's like a resort, even though it's not. They're okay with you going to the beach over there, but I decided not to bother because I figured I can see the lake from the freeway. And I went there, and that old church over there, and there's no signs, you know, like there's no fence. Like normally at the lake, especially in US, it's all fenced, you know, and you will see signs says, you know, no trespassing. Over here, no signs, nothing, no fencing. So I was able to go. There's a little hill in there with nice rocks, and took a bunch of pictures over there. So like very nice, you know, like you can see so far away, like freeway in the distance, and there was very few trucks. I tried to capture some trucks, you know, because there's a very magnificent view of those you know, green mountains in the distance, and then the lake. But the sky was a bit, you see, like the sky, okay, it looks nice actually on the cell phone. It looks very bluish, but in reality it's very depressing looking, you know. There's hardly any blue. There's mostly it's like gray. But of course, the phone, the genius of LG and other smartphones is that they saturate the colors a little bit, so everything looks much nicer than in real life. But anyway, this is kind of like a mini vacation, right? And because Quebec, even if I'm like 2 inches oversized on each side, I'm not allowed to drive on a Sunday. And today is Sunday. But on the regular days, if I'm under 10 feet wide, I'm allowed to drive 24/7. But I don't want to drive 24/7 because I'm pretty sure then you need to meet some special requirements about lights. You know, like in Ontario, you have to have lights on the corners and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure it's like that over here. But my permit is all in French. I only got an explanation from the American permit broker, and she said, yeah, 24/7 except Sunday, no travel. And so I said to myself, no 24/7 for me, for this smooth operator. So instead, I went to my trusted Google on the phone and I said, sunrise time, Letap, Quebec. No results, cannot find it. Turns out it's not actually a town name, you know. Letap, I think it means like, you know, like in Russian, etap. Etap means it's like a station, you know, like a mid-step. Basically, that's just the name of a rest area. And I found, I used that, I think I used that Scenic, that I saw in the sign. And Grayson Transport, Quebec license plate. And he's gone in the dust. Now, usually I sit here, I don't open windows, and yesterday and half of the day today I was much closer to the rest area, basically where that white tank is, but on this side where my truck is parked, on this side. But I figured overnight I saw some cars and pickup trucks parked right here, and I don't want them to block me because like I started to say, I looked up on Google Maps and like the sunrise time for Scenic, whatever, Chicoutimi, Quebec, where I'm going, where my delivery is, in this Chicoutimi, which is a suburb of that Scenic. And it says that the sunrise time is like some crazy 5:20 a.m. or something like that, you know. And my only goal, the only goal for tomorrow is to submit my factoring paperwork to the factoring company before 10 a.m. That's all I care about, because my paperwork says deliver not later than, and they put the date, which is tomorrow. So I can deliver, as far as the broker is concerned, as long as I deliver anytime tomorrow, they're okay. But I want to get paid, right? Because this trip, it's still, you see, like all these trips, whenever you have oversized load, I started driving Wednesday, right? Wednesday started deadheading towards Shippensburg, loaded Thursday, and now it's already Sunday, right? And I'm still, I still have the excavator, you know? That's why I gotta charge them money. You gotta charge them good money, I mean, when it's oversized and when it needs permits, because there's always delays. It's 800 miles, right? If it's a regular load, you can do it in under 2 days, you know, like easy, right? Load up in the morning one day, drive whole day. Let's say you do 500 miles, the next day you're there 3 o'clock. Unload, you know, send the bill to the factoring company, you're done. But it doesn't work like that with these, where I cannot drive Sunday. And then, of course, it's a weekend, so the consignee is closed. So it's, you know, just gets me angry where people expect you to move the stuff. Like I was checking the load board, speaking about rates, right? Checking the load board, some guy has 75,000 pounds. You know, that's already pretty serious weight. 75,000, you need 7 axles. You cannot do it with a 35-ton trailer. So you need at least a 40-ton. But basically you need 7 axles. You cannot do it with 6 axles. Right? Because even though if you're light, but then 75, that's going to be over your trailer rating. Like most guys just have a 35-ton trailer, which is 70,000 pounds, right? Anyway, so this guy wants this load to be moved. I think it's like 600 miles or 500 miles, but you know, like medium. I think it was from Toronto to Baltimore, Maryland. So 500 miles. This guy is offering 2,500 US. Now, that's like a dry van rate, okay? 75,000 pounds. And I click on the details, and I think it was a Landstar load. And I recognize the guy's name from my days at Landstar when I was an owner-operator. And these guys always have super cheap loads. I don't know, because their mortgages are too big, or they deal with 20 brokers, because in US it's okay to double broker, right? Where in Canada it's not okay, but in US you see 2 or 3 brokers, right? Like in my case, for example, there's 2 brokers, because the guy who hired me, I look at the bill of lading, it says carrier. Carrier is the guy who hired me. Like, what the heck is that? So now I spent this morning, I did my bill of lading, I did my invoice, and of course I'm using my company, SERGEI DRATCHEV Heavy Haul. I am the carrier, not this guy. And I actually, which I knew that there's another broker, because when I got some money out, I got some cash when I went to load, because last time I loaded a Hyundai in Shippensburg, they charge you for loading. Like, they don't charge this for I don't know, Volvo, John Deere, but for some reason Hyundai, I guess maybe they charge them or something. And I brought some cash with me, because last time it was like $50 US. And I asked the lady over there, I said, do I have to pay? And she looked at the paperwork, she looked at her computer, she says, no, it says here it's all been taken care of. And then I look at my dispatch sheet, like a rate confirmation, and at the bottom it says, some abbreviation is responsible for freight charges. And so that's what I knew, that there's another broker involved. So these guys, the carrier, they call the broker. Hey, we got a truck. We see you have a load. Okay, so when are you gonna be there? Oh, okay. So basically, the broker thinks that this guy is a carrier. Like, again, that's illegal in Canada, all right? But it's perfectly fine in US. And so the broker gives the load to the carrier, so to speak, right? But the carrier has 0 trucks and maybe half a trailer. And so, of course, next step they do is they post that load as a broker on the load board, like the one I'm using. And that's why rates are, cheap, because these guys try to steal some, well, not to steal, but these guys are trying to make money, right? So let's say the broker says, okay, I'll pay you $2,000, but because the guy has no truck, so he tries to find a trucker for $1,000 and he pockets $1,000, and that's why the most favorite question, basically. I'm getting carried away. I started talking about photography, but don't get me started about these freight brokers. But that's why the most popular question is when you call in. That's why I hate calling in. I want them to call me, because then you get more money. But if you call them, they will ask you how much money you need, right? And you don't want to sound, you don't want to sound rude, you don't want to offend people, you don't want to step on somebody's toes. And you say, okay, I'll do it for X amount of dollars. And the guy is probably like, closing the microphone or hitting that mute button, and he's just laughing. And he points to his colleagues, got it, got one. And then, he coughs to get back his serious demeanor, unmutes the phone or takes his hand off the microphone. Can you do X minus 200? And he probably looks at his colleague and he winks, And you say, no, X is least amount I can do. And it's already, the guy is already making like 200% profit, right? But you have no idea. You want to be a nice guy. And that's what they do, So the only but shippers are bad too, Sometimes shippers, if a shipper if I see a load and it has no MC number, no carrier number, nothing, that means that it's a direct shipper. And my experience says that these guys are even worse, because if a direct shipper tries to find carriers directly, I'm not sure why I'm using so many words direct, but you know what I mean. But usually if they do it like that, they're super cheap, you know. They're not even willing to pay to the broker, right? So that's even worse, you know. There's no money to begin with. At least with the broker you can negotiate, you know, you can talk some sense into them, you know. And usually, even though they say there's no money, they cannot change the rate. There's always some room for negotiation, you know. But anyway, so yeah, this one was not too bad, but you know, nothing to write home about. But still, that's why like I said, my most important goal for tomorrow is just to get there and submit the paperwork before 10, so I get paid and I can basically strike this off the list and look for the next one, or maybe go home. But it's pretty far from here. Like Cambridge, Ontario is 600 miles from here, you know. And again, that's another reason why this load should have paid much better, you know. This was the rate for somebody from Quebec, you know, somebody who's going home, who just wants a load to get them home. Let's say I live in Chicoutimi, or I live in Montreal or Quebec City. That's a nice load, you know. You deliver it, then you go couple of hours home. But you know, for me, I'm stuck now here, right? Like, there's nothing down south because it's just Maine, you know, if you cross the river. And so I don't know. I think what I'll try to do is I'll try to get a load from Quebec to Ontario. You don't see many of them on my board because the board I'm using, it's American. So I gotta use maybe I'll ask a friend for help who has access to a Canadian load board. He can send me some links and I'll start calling. But I think after I deliver, just come back here, you know. It's 1 hour. There's one more rest area. Also very picturesque views, but it's probably, I don't know, like 40 minutes south. I stopped there last time, like when I delivered, in the same area where I'm going now, actually. And on the way back, I passed this. I decided, because you know, I'm sitting here for 2 days, right? So I went there because over there it's like a little gas station. There's parking for trucks, for, you know, RVs, and there's a McDonald's. Like, I'm not a big fan of McDonald's, but at least now they have decent coffee. You know, you can get espresso, you can get Americano, you know. So maybe I'll go there. I'll go there and try to find me a load. So that's your Sunday dose of Heavy Haul TV. And here's some pictures I took from that rock near the water. These are like the best that I selected. So of course I took much more, but it was fun, you know. You kind of get away. It's like a nice hobby for a trucker, I think, you know. You kind of get away, you know. You're among nature, you know. You go into all these technical details, you know, aperture, you know, shutter speed, you know, compensation, you know, picture controls. I think it's great. You know, you cannot be a trucker like 100% 24/7, you know. You need a respite. The only problem is that now, as a photographer, I'm stuck with only one lens, this Tamron 85mm 1.8, and because my 24 Nikon 24mm, the other one I have, it was not sharp. I tried to tune it. It required too much tuning. Could not be done in the camera, so I sent it to Nikon, right? And they still have it. I think they've been working on it for a week. I don't know what they're doing. They're changing glass inside, but a lot of these lenses, they're made in China. Like, the materials are pretty cheap. Like, even this Tamron, I don't know what's going on. I did some tuning inside camera, you know, and I used like a newspaper as like, you know, you take a picture of the newspaper at like a 45-degree angle, and then you look like you remember where you focus, right? And then you just look how many lines, like where the focus actually is, you know, where the sharp letters are, right? And you can see, like, literally let's say I focus on one specific word, and then I see like 5 lines above that word, it's sharp, but like 0 below, it's not sharp, you know. So it's supposed to be like in the middle, right? It's supposed to be like, let's say 3 lines above your focus point and 3 lines below, right? And so that's when I use your, use your tuning compensation. You can go like +1, +2. So I ended up using like +9, no, +10, and then I reduced it to +9. But anyway, when I was walking towards that, lake, and I stopped where those rocks are. Like, let me just switch to bigger view. See, I stopped to those rocks on the side of the road. They're now in the middle of the frame where the antenna is. And I took a picture of this truck. Right? Here it is. Here's the picture of my truck. And I look at the door, I can magnify inside the camera. I look at the sign on my door, this one over here, and it's not sharp, like clear light. It was nice light, no rain, no fumes, no mist, and I'm standing, I don't know, 40 meters away, 120 feet, and I'm focusing on the door, and the text is not sharp, and I'm using vibration reduction. I'm trying different apertures. So anyway, that's the problem with the photography, is that even if you spend a lot of money on equipment, and these lenses are not exactly cheap, they still don't perform the way you expect them to. So there's many things in life, actually, right? So anyway, this is it, Sunday. Hopefully I'm empty tomorrow, and we'll be on to my next adventure. Take care. Thanks for watching.